Good morning, good morning, good morning. We are live. Good morning to you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another episode, Read With Me series, week 6, episode 21. Week 6, episode 21. And it's been quite interesting, intriguing, and we are here again to go ahead to actually do this and actually continue to read this. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up so I know the audio is working. So good morning, good morning, good morning. Nice to see you today. How are you doing? Put it in the comment section. How are you doing today? Are you good? So if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up, a thumbs up, a thumbs up, a thumbs up, so I know the volume is working perfectly. Okay, so we are going on with, good. Thank you so much. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. Good morning. So we are going ahead. I hope you're all doing well today. And I hope, thank you so much. Good. I'm good today. Thank you. Good morning. I hope, we've been thinking, good morning. We've been thinking about our lives. We've been thinking about our relationships, and we've been thinking about some of the things that we have been talking about during this series. And I hope that, it has been resonating in our hearts and, provoking our thoughts, and making us have second thoughts about some things, silently in our minds. Okay, so yesterday we were talking about, the author saying that she had to surrender to God, and I will just read on. I will go right into it because of our time. And if at any point you have any comments or Q&A, please put it in the Q&A session. And even if before we start, if you have anything that's resonated with you, or that you just want to share, or you want to talk about whatever, just feel free, please, to put it in the comment section. Okay, so I just read on. And obviously for people that are just joining, The Joy of Marriage, God's Way by Beverly LaHaye is what we're reading. The Joy of Marriage, God's Way by Beverly LaHaye, and it has been so insightful and so good. Okay, so today I just go ahead and read. And it says, in all of this and other shattered dreams of mine, I began to see God's joy in my life. I was devastated by so many losses. I was crying out for some assurance that God had not forsaken me. The book Shattered Dreams by Larry Crabb was his personal word of comfort when I was reeling with pain. I kept looking for happiness everywhere, and sometimes I would find it, but true joy was quite different. It was much more profound and long-lasting. Difference between happiness and joy. We're gonna have joy even in pain. She said, really letting go was the key. Not just asking for relief or some partial fix to problems. How many of us are in that situation? We're looking for a quick fix. We're looking for a partial fix. Or I just drink this alcohol and, it will just make me escape my reality, escape the pain. And guess what? The next morning, you have an hangover. The next morning, before you know it, you're back again to your misery. Partial fixes. And she said she was not asking for relief or some partial fixes to problems, but really disbanding my ability to even have answers or abilities to do anything. Being willing to do anything with whatever resources I was given for his plan. So she got to a place of surrender. We were talking about that yesterday. Totally surrendering everything to God. Surrendering everything to God. Surrendering your reality, surrendering your childhood trauma, surrendering your journey, surrendering your destiny, surrendering your goals, surrendering your plans. My God, it's going to shake you. Yes. Surrendering your plans, surrendering your will. So this surrender that we are talking about is not a joke. It is not a joke. Being willing to do anything with whatever resources I was given for his plan, I surrendered myself to Christ. So she got to that point where she had to do that. Then the second thing that we're talking about 3 acts of surrender. So the second act of surrender, she said, was I needed to surrender Mark to Christ, which is her husband. She needed to surrender him to Christ. She said, by that, I simply learned I could not guarantee his staying and loving me. You know, in a lot of situations, in families or relationships or whatever, we want to control stuff, and when we pray for people, we just want to be like, just God change them so that they'll be good for you. You see, God change them, or whatever. Like, we want to pray for other people so that they can change for us, so that we can have a better relationship or we can have more peace with them. But sometimes, God is not selfish like that. And she said that, when we surrender the person in the relationship or a family member that is so difficult that we're having issues with or whatever, we surrender that person to Christ and let go. She said at that point, she realized that she couldn't guarantee whether the husband or the person was going to stay and love her. But when you surrender, you don't really care anymore. You just feel like, God, whatever you want to do. Whether the person is going to stay. Whether the person is not going to go. Whatever you want to do. And you just have peace. There's a place of peace when you get to a total place of surrender. You're free of worry. You're free of anxiety. You're free of, what's going to happen? No. All of those things, they bring a lot of, sicknesses, I tell you. Sicknesses to us. A lot of sicknesses to us when we are so encompassed with so much emotions, so much pain, so much this, so much that before you know it. And see, yesterday I was part of a meeting on Clubhouse yesterday, and then we're talking about joy. But then the later part of the session was they were talking about a vision where they saw a lot of women that were coming out with terminal diseases. Cancer, terminal diseases. And I was thinking about it, and I'll be like, why is it that more women are dying of terminal diseases, cancer, so many things? I realized that, women, we are nurturers. Whatever you give a woman, she will nurture it. Then the same thing with pain, the same thing with resentment, the same thing with bitterness, the same thing with so many things that we acquire as a result of unhealthy relationships. And so when we don't sever through all of these things, we filter through all of these things in our lives and in our emotions, they reside into our soul, and then they reside into our bodies, causing a lot of sicknesses. Women are into a lot of unhealthy relationships, and that is why we must continue to do this on a matter of urgency. The more I'm talking about it, the more passionate, the more fired up I'm getting. We must continue to talk about this. We must continue to do this because we must be set free. Sometimes we continue to pray. Sometimes we pray, but at the same time, we don't forgive. Or there's still roots of bitterness in there. Or you don't have peace with somebody else. You see, these kind of things can make us continue to live in sickness, and whereby cause untimely deaths. You see, no matter what we have gone through, we must let go. That's what we're talking about, surrender. So that could just be for anybody right there. Okay, so let's just read on. She said, I could not control his acting out or his willingness to be totally honest with me. Same for if a guy here, same for a woman or something, you surrender the person to God. You see, it says you can't control their acting out or their willingness to be totally honest, even though we said that honesty is a prerequisite for a healthy relationship if you want to do it God's kind of way. But when you surrender the person to God, you cannot really, you don't really know whether they're going to be totally honest with you. It says, I could decide to trust again, but really, trust is built upon consistent behavior each and every day. Sometimes people will say, why don't you trust me? But you have not earned it. You have not earned my trust. You see, it says, trust is built upon consistent behavior each and every day. And I really could not control that either. I could not know for sure that I knew every detail of his behavior. And at some point, I had to surrender that need to know over to God. I needed to turn Mark's life over to Christ and to trust that if we walked at loving each other the way he loves us, he would find a way to restore the intimacy that we desired. I mean, share your thoughts. I just put something in the comment section. I want to hear your views. I want to hear your views on the second part. Surrendering the other party, your partner, your spouse, to Christ. The 3 acts of surrender. Then I'll go on to the next point while I wait for your comments. It says, I turned the dream that I had of our marriage over to Christ. I turned the dreams that I had of our marriage over to Christ. There were many of those fantasies. And see, for single people, please put it in your comments. I want to even hear your fantasy. What do you think? You know, what's your fantasy? Like, what's your own ideal kind of marriage? You know? Yeah. Gina Vilma says, that's really powerful. Yes. Wow. Yeah. You know, what is your own idea of, your fantasy? Like, what you feel like your marriage is going to be like? Because we come up with a lot of fantasies. You watch a lot of love movies. Women do that anyways. Love movies, romantic movies or whatever. You feel like, this is, man, I'm just going to wake up like this. I'm going to feel like I'm on the moon, Oh, it's gonna be this. Oh, I'm gonna have butterflies in my belly. We come up with so many. Oh, this. Oh, when she wake up like this, her eyelashes is gonna be like so divine. Her breath is gonna taste like vanilla. Her morning breath. Oh, when I touch her skin, it's gonna feel like silk. different fantasy. When you enter like this, you wake you up like boy. They wake you up. Say wake up. Wake up to reality. So this is kind of the surrender that we need to surrender. She said that, there were many of those fantasies. Yeah, wonderful morning breath. Oh God. It says there were many of those fantasies, being taken care of by my hero, having successful careers, being perfect parents. These are fantasies that we have, ideas that we have. Oh yeah, I'm not going to struggle, being perfect parents, having money to do whatever we wanted to do, being leaders in our church, whatever your fantasy is, having that Bugatti or whatever, your dream car, or the home, everything, like all those fantasies, and when the tragedy, so she was now saying that when the tragedy of sexual addiction and subsequent losses hit our lives, it was easy to stay stuck in the grieving of a life that was wasted. After years of fighting to get back what I thought I had lost, I surrendered our marriage to God in great anticipation of what He would choose for us to do. I feel like a lot of people now that will be watching this, probably the replay later on, married people, are you looking at your life, you're looking at the family, and you'll be like, God, this is far away from my reality. This is far away from my fantasy. I mean, from what I envisioned my life to be. And you look at your life and be like, this life is so chaotic, or whatever, your present reality is, but you need to surrender that part to God. You need to just surrender it to God, because I did a video one time about the trauma of a broken dream. The trauma of a broken dream. Like, if you have time, you can go and watch it on the YouTube channel, and it's also on the IG page. Also, the trauma of a broken dream. Thank you for joining. And it's and that's why sometimes, the shock of the sudden things that happen in life can make us a little bit startled. you know, when things don't, when our fantasies don't come to reality, you know, the shock of it can make us like, I never knew life is like this. Oh my God, you know. I mean, some of us, some people can be stuck there for years, you know. And she said the new vision that he has been putting in place is incredible. Is winding our lives together in ministry for his hurting people. Maybe this is the reason why they went through this journey, you see. And the thing is, you never know what your struggle will be. You never know what God will not tell you the full plan. You see, the children of the Israelites, they didn't tell them that they were going to face Red Sea. Now, the kind of Red Sea that you will face, you don't even know. You don't even know. So you must be flexible. I tell you, prepare your heart. Hey, prepare it very well. Let it have shock absorber. He says that this is the new vision. She didn't even envision for. She said the new vision that he has been putting in place is incredible. You see, he's winding our two lives together in ministry for his hurting people and using their own pain. The author is saying here, using our pain for that purpose. The life I had been trying to hide from because of all the pain was becoming the one he wanted to use. It was time to surrender. Ooh. The life I had been trying to hide. You've been trying to hide your story. You've been trying to hide your journey. God does not waste anything. He doesn't waste pain. He doesn't waste your story. He doesn't waste my story. God is not a waste. Your journey, your experiences is valid. And trying to hide it. We're trying to paint a perfect picture. No. He says that's the very life he wants to use. The very life he wants to use. It's time. It's time to surrender. Okay. Any thoughts or comments, please put it in the comment section. The next sub-heading now is the 7 desires of the heart. The 7 desires of the heart. The next order of transformation for us has been understanding each other's needs and how to truly be each other's servant in them. Wow. Understanding each other's needs in a relationship. Listen, understanding, not only will you understand each other's needs, but then be able to be servant, to serve each other's needs. You know, before marriage or before a relationship, single people, you'll be thinking, I'm looking for somebody that will complete me, that will love me, that will do this for me. But we don't think about, oh, I'm looking for somebody that I will serve, that I will love, that I will cherish, that I will, serve, meet their needs. We don't think about, I'm going to give, but we think about, oh, somebody that will give me or I will receive. Now, a comment here says, God is so awesome the way he does things. Yes, he's so awesome. He's so awesome. Thank you, bro, for joining. View DJ Tempo in the building. Now you can join us today. Now we're talking about sex today, so you can join us. God is so awesome the way he does things. Exactly. He doesn't waste our story. And another thing says that his thoughts are not my thoughts. His ways are not my ways. If I had to choose about it, if I have to write the journey of my life, I say, oh, I want this to be this. But God is so sovereign that he will say, no, the story I want to make out of your life, this is the way I want your journey to be. And I can't question it. I might as well just surrender to him. And God does not waste your story. God does not waste your struggle. He doesn't waste your pain. No matter where you have been, no matter how bad or dejected you feel like your reality is or whatever, God can use it. He can use it. You don't hide it. Don't hide your story. Don't hide your pain. This is my journey. Own it. Own my journey. I own my journey. I own my story. I own where I've walked. I own where I am. It's part of the chapter. It's a book. It's not done with me yet. Ooh, put it in the comment section. Say, my book is not over yet. It's not done with me yet. Okay. Because of our time, I go on. It says, she said, I was saying that I ought to be truly, to be each other's servant in them. Okay. She said, now I had come to my wedding with many needs for Mark to fulfill, which I said before. When we go into a relationship, we want the other person My book, yes, my book isn't over yet. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. We go into the relationship, we go into the looking for romantic relationship, that this person is going to meet all my needs. She said, I was very light-hearted, so I needed him to be funny. I wasn't very outgoing, so I loved that he loved people. I wasn't very comfortable with sex, so it was terrific that he was. I longed for a more spiritual life, so it was perfect that Mark was going into the ministry. You see, she was looking for all of these things that she didn't have. She was looking for somebody else. Sometimes some men will be looking for somebody to pray for them. And when I says you're preaching for us today, yes. So I'm not preaching. We're just discussing. We're having a conversation. The way, whichever way it comes out. My book isn't over. Exactly. Never finish. Yes, it never finish. Hashtag my story never finish. Yes, she's teaching. So she said that I worked hard to understand and find healing for myself with all of these issues, so that our coupleship was not merely for the purpose of fulfilling my incompleteness. My coupleship was not merely for the purpose of fulfilling my incompleteness. Yes, my DJ says, whose book is not over? Whose book is not over? My own book is covered. Your own book is covered. It's covered. Yeah, but we are in different chapters. You see, the book of our lives, God don't have them already, but we are in different chapters. Sometimes we don't even have the details of what the next chapter is, and that is why we need to surrender to. Let him take the wheels. Yeah, all good. Is that what you are supposed to be doing? Okay. So, I have also come to find that during this time, Mark needed me to be certain things for him too. We were both expecting each other to complete each other in all the wrong ways. This is the beginning of disappointments, having disappointments in our relationships, when we have unrealistic expectations of the other person. Unrealistic expectations. He said we were both expecting each other to complete each other in all the wrong ways. Today, she said, I know that we do complete each other if we can minister to some very basic desires that we both have. I know that we have all the differences that men and women have, which we do. But at the core of our soul, we have a lot in common. We can be different, but still be common with soul, in our soul. No matter how imperfect our past were, we would still have these desires of our hearts. And she said, number one, the first desire of the heart is to be heard. Is to be heard. Everybody wants to be heard. The first desire of a heart, or the first desire of a child, it starts from even children. From children, do you want to hear what I have to say? Am I being heard? In African, yeah, absolutely agree. I want to be heard. I want to be heard. Pay attention to what I have to say. Does my voice matter? I want to be heard. Do you know, I was doing something in the living room today, and I said to myself, I said, don't ever let anything take your voice. Don't ever let any circumstance in your life take your voice. Take that you cannot say anything. In marriages or in relationships, people lose themselves. They cannot talk anymore. They just become a shadow of yourself. You lose who you are. You lose who you are. You lose your voice. You lose your very essence. Who are you? In our homes, are we creating an environment whereby we hear, we listen to our children, we create an environment whereby everybody can speak their mind. They can, oh Lord. Yes. We need to be heard. It's part of our desire of the heart. When I can express a feeling or a need, I feel attended to and nurtured when I am heard. a lot of times we don't listen. Me too included. We don't listen sometimes. In our relationships, do we create an atmosphere whereby we hear the other person? We listen to them. Parents, children, lovers, mothers, fathers. Do we? You know, sometimes we talk to reply. We talk to reply. We don't talk to actually listen. What is this person saying? So, our first desire is that we need to be heard. And the author here is saying that in my family, my parents were very loving, but we rarely talked about emotional issues. We rarely talked about emotional issues. There were times when I was lonely, confused, or hurting, and didn't know who to talk to. Yeah, J. Temple says, I completely concur, and the listening should be both ways. Yes, listening should be both ways. Listen to each other party. You know, the art of listening, to be honest with you, you know, not a lot of us even have a skill to listen. Not a lot of us even in our relationship, you know, have developed that skill to listen. To listen. In most African homes, it's more like sometimes, but it's getting better now. They'll say that children are supposed to be, they are to be seen, not heard. A lot of times, some parents don't even have a relationship with, you know, the children. They feel like, you do this, I tell you to do this, you listen to instruction, you don't talk back at me. Don't talk back at me. No. You don't do this. I don't want to hear what you have to say. Just do what I have to say. It should be two ways. Because we all have the need to be heard. It's a love need. Deep thought here. Yes. So. You know, she said that there were times when you see, emotionally, that's where a lot of times, even in our generation, parents are losing children because, you know, we don't have that place whereby they can really open up to you and tell you, you know, emotionally. You know, here the author is saying that, you know, she was lonely, she was confused, she was hurting, but she didn't know who to talk to. She didn't know who to talk to. You see, there was a time I was actually dealing with a youth, you know, it was quite in a domestic violence situation. And, you know, she was going through stuff, you know, that she was talking to the friend in school, a friend in school, about stuff that was going on. And to be honest with you, it was really bad. She didn't even talk to the mom at all. She didn't talk to the dad or whatever, because stuff was really going on. You see, what kind of atmosphere are we creating in our families, in our homes? You know, not to also relationship. So in both parties too, we need to be able to work on the issue, because the atmosphere we create in our relationship will set the tone for the home. And these are really deep, important issues that we're talking about today. You know, she said, so I learned to be quiet. Since she didn't have anybody to talk to, she learned to be quiet. I couldn't really expect Mark, which was her husband, or anyone else to hear me until I first learned how to talk about my feelings and needs. That's another point we need to learn. We want to get into relationship. We need to learn the skill, the act of learning how to talk about our feelings and needs. Learning how to talk about our feelings and needs. You know, I brought years of wanting to be heard and understood into our marriage. You see, these are deep stuff that, you know, even for single people that you might be watching this, you need to work on yourself, become self-aware to know that, have you learned the act of talking about your feelings in a healthy way, not to be castigating the other person, not to be saying, hey, you make me feel this, you do this. No, it's like, I feel like, you know, this certain this particular way when I do this, or I feel I need to be heard or something like that. You know, like we express it in a healthy way that is not, you know, castigating the other person, making the other person feel less of a person. So that also takes skill, you see. And I don't know whether we have all some of these conversations enough. You know, these are the things that real issues that can make our relationships really thrive to be an healthy one. So we need to learn the act of actually expressing our feelings, you know, and our needs, because that's what we're going to bring into our relationships. So I think I'm going to end on that note. Because the other one is going on the next one, but I want to keep it for 30 minutes. I'm going to end on that note. We have said so many things. Emotional intelligence, yes, so many things. I think this emotional intelligence, all of these things is becoming much more like people are becoming more aware of it now in our generation, but in the old generation, I mean, it's just like it's so dysfunctional, so unhealthy, and there was just no knowledge. Really, there was no knowledge, and the more we get knowledge, the better we become. I tell you the truth, I've learned so much, I've grown so much because I've exposed myself to knowledge, and I've worked on myself too. I've worked on myself, my emotions and everything like that, and it has actually given me peace. It has given me peace. So we need to manage our own emotions, manage our own self, to be able to know how to navigate the journey of even working or relating with somebody else. You see. So thank you so much, everybody. I mean, we're talking about the desires of the art. We're talking about the act of transformation also, and the 3 acts of surrender also. So thank you so much for joining today. Please go ahead and listen to all of these things over and over again. Let's work on ourselves so that we can have thriving relationships and healthy families, and so that we can experience joy, peace, and love in our families and in our marriages and in our homes. I remain Abiola. Don't forget to live every moment, laugh every day, and love beyond words. Have a lovely day today. Today is a Thursday. No, today is Wednesday. So enjoy the rest of your day and think about everything. So wishing you love all the way. Thank you for joining, everybody. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. by God's grace. Okay, one love.